good, aren't they? Hey, did y'all hear about the little frog that went into the bank to get a loan? And it went up to the loan officer, and her name was Patty Whack. And he walks up to Patty Whack and he says, I want a loan. And Patty Whack says, you know what, I've never loaned any money to a frog before, and I don't know what to do here, but I do know one thing. This bank requires that you have collateral. You got any collateral? Little frog said, well, what's collateral? And she said, well, you got to have something of value that we can kind of hold to prove that you're good for the loan. Well, that little frog reached in his pocket and he pulled out this little thing that kind of, looked like something you might hang on the wall or something. And he gave it to her and he said, I've got this little thing that's something you can kind of hang on the wall or something. She took it and looked at it and she said, I think I really need to go talk to the president. So she dismissed herself. She went over to the president's office and she told him, there's a frog over there that wants to borrow money. I asked for collateral. He gave me this thing. I don't even know what it is. Handed it to the president. The president of the bank picked it up and looked at it. And he said, well, that's a knick-knack, Patty Whack. Give the frog a loan. I've been having trouble sleeping lately. The problem is, I've been having trouble sleeping lately. The problem is, and Priscilla, those of you that are new here, Priscilla's my wife, and she's just a basket case. She's just got all kinds of trouble, and Priscilla thinks that she's a refrigerator. And so I hauled her down to the guy that works on the brain, the psycho guy, and I hauled him down there to her. I hauled her down there to him, and I said, you got to help her. She thinks she's a refrigerator, and I said, it's just bugging me to death. And he said, well, I understand she's got a problem if she thinks she's a refrigerator, but why is it bothering you? I said, because she sleeps with her mouth open and that light keeps me awake. Hey, did you hear about the 3 ministers earlier this week? I think it's yesterday, because it was so nice here yesterday. And the 3 ministers got together and they decided to go through nature and take a little prayer walk. And while they're walking, they come by a little place in our beautiful Sangamon River. And they come by a little spot that looked like it'd be a good place. And they was hot because they'd been hiking, so they just decided, let's pretend we're kids again. They just took off their clothes, left them on the bank, jumped in there, were skinny dipping and having a really good time. Well, what they didn't know was there was a bunch of farmers' wives that were having a little gathering, and they were also making a little walk through the area to look at the spring growth. And when these ladies came upon the place in the Sangamon River where the 3 preachers were skinny dipping, man, did those guys get embarrassed. And the ladies sat on the side of the bank and their eyes were real big and they looked at the 3 ministers, and 2 of the 3 ministers went like this. You know what the other minister did? He went like this. The other 2 said, why did you do that? And he said, my congregation knows me by my face. You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that. Now, for those of you that knew him, me and Kenny, we grew up together. Oh yeah, we're the same age and everything. And one time, in the spring of the year of our senior year, me and Kenny went hiking. And we was getting ready to go to a place and go skinny dipping ourselves. It was a beautiful day like today. And when we got to the skinny dipping place, we saw some girls' clothes. Remember that? We saw girls' clothes laying on the bank. And man, oh man, guess who was swimming? 3 of our teachers from high school. Oh, they were out there skinny dipping. Can you believe that? And so what me and Kenny did, we just sat down right there beside their clothes and watched them. And when they saw us, they got really, really mad at us. Now, I was just sitting there with my eyes really big and my mouth wide open. I didn't know what else to do. But Kenny, he's always been really smart. He's always been really quick-witted, He can always think of things to say. And our teacher, our main teacher, she was glaring at us. She was in the water up here to her neck. And she was doing this. I could see her. She was kind of bobbing down. And finally she found, in the swimming hole, she found one of them big old number 9 tubs. You remember the number 9 tubs? She found one of them in the river. And she picked it up and she held it in front of her so we couldn't see her. And she walked out right up to us, holding that tub right in front of her. She was mad. She had a mean look on her face. And she says, I know what you're thinking. And Kenny said, I couldn't say nothing. I was just looking. I was dumbstruck. I know that's hard to believe, but I was dumbstruck. My eyes are as big as my mouth was open. And Kenny said, well, what are we thinking? She said, you're thinking if you sit there long enough, we'll have to come out and get dressed in front of you and you'll see us in the nude. Kenny said, that's not what we're thinking, but we know what you're thinking. Oh, that made her mad. She said, what am I thinking? He said, you think that there's a bottom in that number 9 tub.